Hello, my name is Cami and I'm from Berlitz, Japan. And today I'm here with Tim Jordan, who is the Senior Vice President of Product and Customer Experience at Berlitz. Hi, Tim. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Cami. Thanks for having me.
Today, I really wanted to talk about the role of AI in language learning with you. My first question for you is, what are the reasons that people learn a language?
People learn a language because they need to speak to other people in a new language. That's the motivation for serious learners. You also have more casual learners who are looking to learn a language as a hobby or just because they enjoy learning. And learning a language is learning like learning any other skill. But here at Berlitz, the people who come to us really need to learn a language because they need to be able to communicate in a professional manner with other people in a new language, mostly for their job or career, but also for doing business internationally.
That brings me to my next question. So as you mentioned, there's so many different reasons that people can be learning a language. I know that for a lot of people, just using AI tools, even for free, can be a really good option to help you get started with your learning. But when is it better to practice just with AI tools, and when is it better to actually study at a language school?
AI tools can be really helpful for practicing situations that you would find yourself in when you need to speak to somebody in a new language, or getting help for certain topics. Particularly if you're just starting out and you want to try a new language, there are some really great tools that are powered by AI that help you get started. But where AI technology can struggle with language learning, there are a number of limitations to how AI can be applied. Particularly, most AI tools are what we call translation-based. So they're trained on English and then translate English into other languages. And translation is not language learning. There's limited grammar and vocabulary exercises or activities for languages, especially other than English, which makes it difficult there for a learner who wants to learn something else. AI chatbots have been trained on a standard set of content. That content is all pretty much at the same level. So what AI tools have trouble with is engaging with people at the level that they're at. So an AI chat cannot really pick up where that student is at in terms of their language level. So particularly for beginner students who have a really limited understanding of the new language, when they start talking or using AI tools, they can find it very difficult to stay on level. There are a number of other challenges that AI can have. In particular, the difference between learning a language from a person or talking to somebody in a different language. AI chatbot or AI tools have limited ability to pick up on emotional intelligence cues or cultural sensitivity cues, and they lack judgment. They are trying to respond in the way that they've been trained rather than actually adapt or respond to the student themselves. So if there are cultural differences in the way that the language is applied, or if the learner themselves has a specific way they prefer to learn, an AI powered tool will find it very difficult to adapt itself and learn on the fly. The research that we've done at Berlitz suggests that given the choice, people actually prefer to learn from other people. Yes, AI can be a great tutor and help you practice, but the actual effectiveness of the learning outcomes is limited when exclusively learning through AI. Particularly when those AI chatbots are combined with speech recognition, those activities can become exhausting. Constantly talking and responding to a prompt and going through a role play. After a while, it's better to have a variety of learning activities, and that's actually better for learning outcomes as well. You learn better if you have a variety of activities to learn from.
Yeah, I can also agree with that based on personal experience as well. It can be quite tedious.
Yeah, repetitive, and sometimes there's a lag, a couple seconds of waiting, and then did you click the right button to stop the recording? And of course, that technology will get better and better. But it's just when you're having a conversation with a real person, It's not as tedious as it can be when talking with a chatbot.
You mentioned a few things such as culture and learning style that you can benefit from if you work with an instructor, and you can't really get that from purely AI learning tools. Is there anything else that you can't get from AI that you can really get from an instructor?
I think the big thing is an instructor. A trained instructor will adapt their lesson on the fly. They'll adapt to the student's preferences. So literally the student might say, I want to learn about this topic, or I want to cover this concept, or the instructor might pick up on those cues from the student. They can read body language. They can tell if the student's engaged or not. And if the student is showing signs that they're disengaged, then a good instructor will change the way that they're teaching, because their goal is to deliver the learning outcome for the student. Whereas an AI has just been trained to perform a task. As long as they perform that task, then they've done their job. Technology has no way of picking up on those cues from the student. The student will simply just exit the application and may or may not come back. I think also being able to give feedback in real time and constructive and detailed feedback. Yes, an AI learning tool could record and rate a student's fluency or their comprehension or the level of vocabulary and give them a score, and maybe even suggest some ways to improve. But an instructor can provide much richer feedback in real time and both teach and coach and encourage the student to get better. I go back to this idea that the instructor will adapt their style and adapt the way that they teach based on the student. And if the instructor is seeing that the student responds well to positive motivation, they'll continue to use that in the lesson. Or perhaps the student prefers much more structured learning style. The instructor can do that. The instructor can also draw on their experience of teaching other students. And over the years, they know what works well and what doesn't, and just get to that more effective learning cycle much more quickly and effectively.
I know that at Berlitz, we obviously use instructors and we also use AI. Why are we using AI, and also why are we using instructors?
Well, AI is a very powerful tool, which we believe adds a lot of value to the overall learning experience. AI does a lot of things really well. From Berlitz's perspective, we can create new curriculum much more quickly now because we have tools that will help us adapt existing content or create specialist content for certain industries. AI is really, really good at creating assessments. So you can take an existing course and you say, please create a test or an assessment for this course. And it does quite well at those sorts of tasks. It's quite good at pattern recognition. It recognizes patterns in anything, speech or learning responses. So it can assess students' knowledge quite easily. AI-powered chatbots are quite good at things like tutoring and student support. So we're using AI tools like this to support students. So if they have a question about their learning material or about concepts within their content, they can ask an AI-powered tool, an AI chatbot, to get support 24/7. We also use AI tools a lot for practice opportunities. So our model is that the instructor is the core of our teaching and learning experience at Berlitz, but we then leverage technology to help students practice and get better at their language skills. We're experimenting with ways in which we can continue to use AI in that Berlitz methodology to present, practice, and perform learning cycle. And AI is really good at that practice part. So we can create role plays and scenarios where a student can practice and even learn new vocabulary about specific industries or specific scenarios. So, for example, we have a skills chatbot where someone can practice a job interview in English if they're going, trying to get a job in English. We can We've got industry-specific role plays where people can learn all about medical terminology in English. And when you add video avatars and when you add other tools, it actually can be reasonably lifelike. But in terms of actually delivering on learning outcomes and engaging in effective teaching and learning, the instructor does that so much better. We are convinced that the instructor will remain the core of what we do at Berlitz, is because the reason people learn a language is, at the end of the day, they're going to need to talk to actual people. And talking to an AI is good practice, but it is not the same as having a conversation with a real person. For a beginner who's using a free app or a gamified application, which they say they learn a few words and they learn some translations, let alone order a coffee in a new language, but are they actually going to be able to do business with someone, have a negotiation, do a presentation? Are they going to be able to sign a legal contract in a new language? So it's those higher order skills in which, again, maybe in the future, there will be technology that will facilitate this. But at least as far as we're concerned, effective teaching relies on a teacher.
That also, it's very similar to a lot of feedback we hear in Japan from language learners. They mentioned that even if they study and they know the grammar and vocabulary of a language, when it comes to actually having real face-to-face communication, if they've had no prior real life experiences to confirm that they're actually communicating effectively, they'll freeze up because there's no confirmation that they can actually do it yet.
Yeah, it's hard. It's not easy. Language learning is a challenge. This is where AI tools are very, very helpful because they offer a chance for the student to practice without any low stakes environment. There's no fear of failure, or at least there shouldn't be with an AI avatar. You can get it wrong as many times as you like, and the other person on the other end is not going to judge. But this is where a trained and empathetic instructor can really support the student, because that situation where a learner has learned the vocabulary and they've practiced with themselves and they've spoken into the app and it's given them feedback that their pronunciation is correct. But that is a very highly regulated environment. And going out onto the street to speak to somebody, there are so many other distractions. There's different accents. There's different cultural interactions. There's different scenarios that you've never come up against. So the best way to prepare for those situations is to actually train yourself with a live instructor who can support you in that journey and correct you in the right way so that, you don't make those mistakes in real life. That's the nature of learning a language. And that's why, again, we think that AI tools will really, really help make the entire experience more effective, but won't replace a live instructor at all.
You mentioned that we do incorporate AI tools at Berlitz. Are there any specific examples of how our students can use AI at Berlitz?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a number of features. We have our Berlitz Learning Assistant. We have a student support AI chatbot that is in our student portal, and students can ask it questions at any time while they're learning. This can be as simple as asking for a translation, but also you can ask the assistant more complex questions about the actual activity. What is the present perfect tense of this concept, for example? Or I don't understand what is meant by this. And that's been very effective. We've also released what we call the My Berlitz Speaking Tutor. This is a conversation practice feature where students can practice their conversation skills with the chatbot. Works really well for these specific scenarios or to reinforce vocabulary they've already learned. So the way it works is that once a student has finished a lesson, either with a lesson with an instructor or one of our e-learning self-paced lessons, then they can practice what they've learned with the AI tool, with the speaking tutor, to reinforce what they just learned in the lesson and go through a role play, go through scenarios, and the chatbot will help them practice and give feedback on their fluency, on their grammar, on their comprehension, and even on their pronunciation. We also have industry-specific speaking tutors. If a student is employed in a specific industry, we have chatbots that will allow the student to learn vocabulary from that industry and the words and concepts that are specialized for that sector. For example, we have English for medical terminology, so people learn specialist vocabulary for that, for that field. We've also built out AI tools for specialist skills. We have an interview practice AI tool. We have a presentation practice AI tool. We have negotiation skills, where if a student is learning English or learning another language and they really need to use that language to, for example, negotiate with someone, they can use our AI tools to practice and learn specific skills needed in that space. We've been using AI at Berlitz actually for a long time, before even, the last couple of years when generative AI started to become really, really common and popular. We've been using AI to create content. So we create our curriculum and content with the help of AI tools, but often a lot of our media. AI developed videos, AI developed synthetic audio or neural voices. It means that we can create learning activities that feature a variety of accents, a variety of characters, because that's closer to real life. In real life, you speak with people in English, but there might be all sorts of different accents that you come across. And so it's important to be able to have exposure to those rather than just learn, American English or Australian English, for example. There's a lot of different ways we use AI at Berlitz. We have a lot of interesting things that we're experimenting with as well coming in the future.
One of the things that I really liked about my speaking tutor was the range of accents, because so many people, when they have to use English for work, it's because they're actually working with people from, for example, India, rather than working with people from America. So it's good to be exposed to a very specific accent when you're practicing and preparing for that.
Yeah, you're right. English is the universal language of business, and often people who are talking to each other in English, that it might not be either of their first language. And so to be able to understand the accents and the idioms, and like I said, the cultural understanding to be able to not only learn the language, but know how to use it as well.
Why specifically should someone enroll for a Berlitz course as opposed to maybe a different option of combining their own choices of free AI tools and their own tutors and things like that?
I think there's two reasons. One is if the student really needs to learn the language for a specific goal they have in their life, particularly for their job, for their career, or if they're moving abroad. And the Berlitz methodology has been proven for almost 150 years. And with our combination of instructor-led training and technologically advanced platforms that support the learner, the outcomes are much, much superior than trying to learn on your own. Yes, you can put together a free or very, very affordable program from free tools that are out there, but it relies heavily on the learner driving that experience themselves versus having a qualified, trained instructor that can guide you through the whole program, but also an organization like Berlitz that has taught millions of people how to speak a new language. We are the experts in this. We know what works. The second reason is we can create a program for you, depending on what your goals are, what your preferences are, how quickly you want to learn, how you like to learn. Do you like to spend time on your own doing self-guided activities with the occasional check-in with an instructor? We have a program that can facilitate that. Would you like a lot of attention from a qualified instructor who can get you trained pretty quickly? We can also do that. Do you need specific content around a specific industry, or are you happy just having the standard business or social curriculum that we have available? I think what we offer is the best of both worlds. We don't just rely on sitting in front of an instructor and going through lessons. And we don't just rely on AI-powered apps that might be, fun to use, but may not necessarily give you the actual skills that you need to get ahead and learn and actually speak the new language. You can go from true beginner to all the way to advanced levels with Berlitz. And as you get to those advanced levels, we can really drill in and focus on what you need. Do you need to improve your accent? Well, we can help you with that. Is it more about your fluency or your vocabulary? We can focus on that as well. So I think that's where Berlitz has the advantage, where particularly for people who are serious about their language learning outcomes, it's a really good choice. Of course, if it's more of a hobby or if it's more for fun, I think honestly there are probably better options out there. But if it's to improve your life and grow in your career, then Berlitz is by far the best option.
And so much more time effective to start out with Berlitz if you do have a serious goal as well, because you'll achieve that goal much more quickly.
Absolutely. The return on investment, both from time and money, is well worth it. It's more work, but if you have a goal to be at a certain level by a certain time, we will get you there.
The question on everyone's lips recently is, will AI replace human instruction?
No, I don't think AI is going to replace human instruction. I think the tools will get better. Technology will continue to improve, but it will be difficult to predict in which way. We didn't know necessarily how large language models would evolve over the last few years. I think they will become quite good at specific reasoning tasks and tasks that require the inputting a lot of data to be able to identify patterns in that data. But I think teaching, and specifically teaching someone how to speak and communicate in a new language, requires a lot of nuance, requires cultural sensitivity, emotional intelligence. And I think the effectiveness of learning from an instructor will be much, much more than learning from an AI equivalent. I think the technology will improve so that on the surface, it will look similar. So there'll be human avatars that will talk to you and respond. They will hear what you're saying. They will respond to you. They will by necessity follow very rigid processes and deliver very rigid outcomes. Perhaps for certain tasks, for certain types of learners, maybe beginners who just need the basics, I could see, an AI tool, being reasonably effective. But as you start to get into very specific concepts, as when you need feedback that goes beyond, yes, you got this correct or incorrect, but here's how you actually need to improve. We're talking about communication, and we're talking about communicating with other people. And I think the best teachers of communicating with other people will be other people and highly trained, qualified, experienced instructors who can use a proven methodology like Berlitz's methodology, but also adapt the training to the students' needs in real time. My prediction is that AI tools will continue to be embedded into language learning experiences, but that if a learner is serious about the outcomes that they want, they will need to be engaging with a human instructor in order to learn a language. Otherwise, I think they'll be limited in their outcomes and their skills.
What is the future of AI and human instruction at Berlitz then?
At Berlitz, we're working on leveraging AI to truly customize the learning experience. So every student will have a learning path personalized to them. This is where AI has a lot of value and a lot of potential, because up until now, that's a very manual process to have to take every learner and create a customized learning path for them, including customized material and customized learning methodologies or delivery of the program. So that true personalization is going to be the future. And between the delivery of the learning via our instructors, and then using AI to support that feedback loop between self-paced learning with an instructor, and the feedback that a learner will get via progress reports and other recommendations, I think is going to be the future of what we can offer.
To finish off this interview, I wanted to ask you a few quick fire questions, and there'll be very short answers. What is one piece of advice that you would give to students who are trying to reach fluency?
Practice, and practice with other people in a group setting in a class. We not only teach you the language, but we also teach you how to use it.
What do you like most about Berlitz?
I like that we're a 150-year-old company, still teaching our students the same way we did 150 years ago, but we are now leveraging the best tools and technology to make that experience even better.
What is the most useful English phrase in your opinion?
I would say no worries, being from Australia.
What is a phrase that a lot of people get wrong?
Ooh. I live here in America, and a lot of people say could care less, but the correct idiom is couldn't care less. I was really drawn to the mission of improving people's lives through language and culture. What we do is incredibly powerful. I mean, we help people communicate with each other, which is essential to us as humans. It means that people from all cultures and languages can say what they feel and what they mean, and that's a valuable thing. It's helping people to achieve their goals. They've made a significant investment in time and money to learn with us, and seeing people who reach their goal of fluency is really rewarding.
Can you share a quick story of a student or a moment that made you proud to be a part of your team?
Yes, I remember speaking with a Japanese student who had received a promotion in her job, but part of that involved having to travel to New York to deliver a presentation in English. So she had did a 3-month intensive course with Berlitz and was successfully able to travel to her colleagues in New York and deliver the presentation in English. She felt extremely proud of her achievement, and it really helped her career. She became very well respected within her company. So I was really proud to be able to help help her achieve her goal.
Wow. Okay. How do you see your role make a difference in helping people connect across more than 70 countries?
Well, my role is to develop the learning products that people use here at Berlitz. We are building products that are effective, that are easy to use, and that achieve the goals that people have when they set out with Berlitz, which is to communicate with each other. I feel very happy that when we get good feedback about our new features, like, for example, the My Speaking Tutor, and people seem to really think it's valuable and effective. And those are the sorts of things we're trying to do.
What's the one thing about working with languages that keeps you excited every day?
Working with languages makes me excited because there are so many cool new technologies coming. I think we have the ability to continue to make the experience even better for students. AI, for example, is going to become more specific to language learning. Some of the problems we have today are around staying on level or not really being good for languages other than English. People are going to solve those problems, and that's really exciting.
If you could learn any language overnight, what would it be and why?
I would like to become fluent in Spanish because I live here in the United States, and there are so many countries in the Americas that would love to be able to communicate with.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing your insights about AI and its role in language learning. I've learned a lot from you today.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Thank you. And for anybody else who's interested in learning language, good luck with achieving your language goals. I hope you enjoyed this video.